If you have seen the media coverage on the strikes between Israel and the Islamic regime, you have seen a lot of propaganda, and I don't want you to fall for it. So this is a long video to explain every aspect that you have to understand in order to not fall for the same jihadist playbook. The first thing that I'm going to talk about, most importantly, it has always been important, but right now the most important thing, not to confuse the Islamic regime with Iran. Not just pet peeve of every Iranian who gets confused by that, but strategically important. We will talk about that. Number two, will the people of Iran rise? They will, but something has to happen first. How they will rise, what you can do to support them, and what's the most important factor for them to rise once again and risk their lives. Number three, we need to unite the opposition and have them speak to world leaders. They're still treated like kryptonite. Nobody wants to talk to anybody, not even a hostage family like mine. So this is a bad sign, and we have to change that. And the last point, and the most important point, is that the world needs to stop shielding tyrants. Unless this happens, nobody will be free. So history is cracking open right now. But the question is, who will be there to step through? That's up to me and you. Everybody has seen the headlines. Strikes by Israeli forces on the Islamic regime inside of Iran, on their IRGC bases, command centers, their moist institutes, their safe houses, their commanders, and so on. And as I'm recording this, the Islamic regime is striking back, but they're striking civilian centers in Tel Aviv. Activists like us have been preaching for years not to conflate Iran with the Islamic regime. They're two different things, and we have 1,000,001 reasons to explain that to you. And I promise you I'm going to make a video about that. That's going to be the next video up. But until then, if we conflate the Islamic terrorist regime, a jihadist organization that is illegally occupying the territory of Iran, with Iran itself, or a legitimate government, or the Iranian people, we are up for trouble. And that's exactly what the Islamists and the jihadists are preying on. To make it once and for all clear, an attack on IRGC bases, on their commanders, on their terror centers, on their missiles, on their anything that belongs to the Islamic regime is not an attack on Iran. When the American forces attack the Houthis, we don't say America is attacking Yemen. We make the distinction because we understand the Houthis are listed as a terrorist organization, or they were and now they're back on, whatever we do with terrorist organizations, right? When any forces are attacking the Taliban, we don't say this is an attack on Afghanistan. No, the Afghan peoples don't want the Taliban. The Iranian people don't want the Islamic regime. They're fighting against them. So we have to make sure we make the distinction between the Islamist entity that is occupying a land, or a piece of a land most of the time, and the nation itself, and the people, and the legitimate state. When we equate those two, when we say Islamic regime is a state, just like Israel is a state, then we equate those two. And that's what the propagandists are doing day in and day out. That's what you see in all of the news, media, headlines and everything. Well, Israel attacked Iran, and Iran has the right to defend itself. Iran has the right to strike back. Well, that's the opposite of what's happening. Israel has shown in the past, and especially in the last years, that they do precision strikes whenever possible. We know in terrorist-infiltrated areas where the terrorists hide in between the populations, it's much harder to do that. But with areas where the people try to distinguish themselves and don't want to be mixed up with it, or have the ability to push back, there are precision strikes. And that's exactly what we saw with the Hezbollah pager attack. It was Hezbollah commanders who had these pagers, right? It's a precision strike on them, precision strikes on the Houthis, precision strikes right now. And I listed, I think, at least 28 that I saw in the media. And what they really are, is this a base? Is this a commander's house? Is this one of the moist safe houses? You know, the moist safe houses is where they hold top priority dissidents like my father, like Habib Chab, and they torture them in there. So this is their terror tunnels, equivalent to Hamas's terror tunnels. These places and commanders who command the IRGC, who command inside of the country, Niru Entezami, the Islamic regime forces that beat up protesters, that hang them, that kill them, that put poisonous gas into the schools of little schoolgirls. Like, these people are massacring the Iranian people, or they're massacring people outside. These are terrorists, these are jihadists, and these are their military bases, and they are fair game. This is not civilians. This is not civilian territory. And we have to distinguish that, because when then you say Iran is striking back at Israel, Iran is not striking back. The terrorists are striking back at Tel Aviv, which is not a military base. We have activists, journalists, friends who are right now in bunkers, hoping they can survive. So this is no joke. We cannot, and we should never confuse the occupying jihadist forces for the state or the territory that they're occupying it. Please, for the love of truth and sanity, stop saying Iran when you mean the Islamic regime. I'm going to make a whole video of where I show you. They made it very clear they're anti-Iranian. They were not elected. They're not ethnic Iranians. They don't want Iran to flourish. They don't care about Iran. That's not their people, okay? Their people are Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, the other Arab Islamists. That's why they're supporting them for years, because that's their people. That's their nation, or their ummah, or whatever they want to call it. Not Iran. It's very confusing to us when you do that. When you go out and say, this is pro-Iranian, and we're like, yeah, we're pro-Iranian, right? Like, we want to liberate Iran. And then it's something like terrorizing like people, and we're like, wait, that's not pro-Iranian, that's pro-jihadist, pro-Islamist, pro-Islamic regime. So it's anti-Iranian, because that's exactly what the regime does to Iranians. So please, for the last time, you're not just doing us a favor, you're stopping the propaganda. And you're making sure you don't sound like freaking idiots who can't distinguish terror organizations from nations, okay? We're seeing the same playbook right now in Syria, where a terrorist leader, al-Jolani, right, who had 10 minutes ago a $10 million bounty on his head. HTS is still listed as a terrorist organization everywhere. The US, the UN Security Council, Europe, like everywhere they're listed as a terrorist organizations, and people are going there and shaking his hand and saying, this is the new interim president. Like, who made him president? That's exactly what we're doing, conflating a terrorist organization with a nation, with a presidency, with a government. Stop doing that, because all you're doing is helping these terror organizations learn from each other and become legitimate states. And as legitimate states, they have a lot of rights. They can do treaties. They don't get persecuted when they're traveling around. They get diplomatic immunity. That's how they get around. So there's a whole lot of stuff and perks that they get when you do them a favor and confuse them for a state or a government or a president or a leader of a nation. They are not. They're the same as any other ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood, terror organization. Let me give you a very easy example, like a little thought experiment, okay? We've seen the war between Ukraine and Putin for the last 3 years. And we've seen how Putin was able to just annex parts, right? Annex Crimea. Nobody said anything. Oops, Crimea is now part of Russia. How did that happen? So just imagine this war will go on, and Putin would be able to annex Ukraine, occupy Ukraine, march in, take over the territory, kill the people there, do whatever he wants there, and then crown himself the whatever, czar or something of Ukraine. And he would continue the war, the expansionist war. He would now try to hit the Balkans, Estonia, Georgia, or Finland, who knows, right? He would start attacking from Ukraine territory other nations. You would not say Ukraine just attacked or bombed Finland, would you? You would understand this is still Putin. This is still Putin's people marching into Ukraine, taking them hostage, occupying the territory, using their resources, using the territory to launch attacks against other nations. You would understand this is Putin, right? So confusing the name of the occupying force for the nation they're occupying is never a good idea, especially when the occupying force is a sworn enemy of the people that they're occupying. So Putin occupying the Ukrainians, the Islamic regime, Arab Islamists occupying Iranians. They're sworn enemies, have been through all of history. Don't ever do that because it's not a good precedent to set. And you wouldn't do that with any other nation. You would be very clear about that. This is not that nation. You would understand that. But for some reason, you all have a problem seeing that the Islamic regime is not Iranian. It's not our government. It's not our people. It's not our culture. It's not our identity. In fact, they came to erase all of that, to destroy Iran. They're killing Iranians. Every 4 hours, an Iranian is hanged to death. That's a massacre of Iranians, targeting all of the Iranian ethnicities that are living in Iran and non-Iranians, okay? It's the sworn enemies of Iranians are called Iran. That's not okay, and that needs to stop. And then sometimes you see these Arab Islamist leadership, the Islamic regime, have a speech in which they say something like commander-in-chief of the IRGC said yesterday in his prominent speech, standing there, and by the way, he's eliminated now, saying, "We will avenge every hair that is harmed on any head of an Iranian." And idiots are like, oh, so he cares about Iranians. No, he doesn't. He never does. This is the same regime, the same commander that has lynched Iranians for decades. Every single morning, Iranians are hanged. Every single afternoon, they've been beaten in the streets. Every single night, they're in the torture chambers, hoping they can survive one more day under this oppressive regime. They have never stood for Iranians. But why are they using that? They're only using that strategically in these speeches for two reasons. One, they're hoping to fool some patriots, which they never can, to say, we're not against you, it's them. The Israelis, the Jews, the Zionists, the this, the Americans, the blah, 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 whoever it is. They want to kill you, not us. They want to kill civilians. They hate Iranians. See? See how they're saying like Iran this, Iran that? They're against you, not us. Because they don't see themselves as Iranians. So when people say Iran must burn, Iran this, Iran has to be destroyed, they don't think that's them. They say, well, it's Iranians. Yeah, go ahead, destroy them, because that's what we've been doing all along anyways. Thank you very much. So they use that speech to, one, tell the people this is our common enemy, okay? They're coming after you, not after us. Not after us, after you, and we want to protect you, which is bullshit. Because when did he do that speech? Just one day after an Iranian patriot, Mojahed was hanged to death. When was he hanged to death? On the birthday of a 9-year-old boy, Kian Pirfalak, who was shot dead by these Islamic regime mercenaries. And Mojahed was then blamed for his death. So you have two people fighting against the regime, the family of the little 9-year-old boy who were just happening to be in those protests, and then the protesters who were on the streets. So they kill the little boy, blame it on another protester, and then hang him to death. That's the Islamic regime. They don't care about Iranians. They have never cared. They care about their people. Because when Hezbollah is attacked, the Islamic regime announced a 7-day grievance, taking money and donations for Hezbollah, not for the Iranian people, not for the people that are suffering under earthquakes, who are dying of hunger in the streets, whose economy is crushing, whose houses are falling apart, who are like bombarded every day by all of the atrocities in the country. They don't give them 1 ounce of even pretend grievance or acknowledgement or support. What do? They take the money of the Iranian nation, the money of the Iranians, and spend it where? On Iranian education, health system, economy, the people? No, they hate Iranians. They spend it on their people. Hamas is getting millions, Hezbollah is getting millions, Houthis are getting millions. They're all getting millions and billions every single year. So that's their people that they're protecting, not Iranians. But whenever something like this happens, they say, Iranian this, Iran has a right to defend Iran. Like all of a sudden, they pretend for a split second to be part of the nation, or to be Iranian, or to be a sovereign state. Why? Because they want a legitimate reason to strike back at the enemy and kill Jews, kill Lebanese, kill whatever, kill Americans, kill this, kill that. They just need an excuse. And being a state, defending your borders and your institutions and your people, gives them that excuse. So that's reason number 2, why you should never conflate the Islamic terrorist regime with Iran. The regime is out to create chaos. They want to say that by Israel striking them and their commanders and their bases and everything, this will lead to World War III, and they have to create the chaos and everything. So we will most probably see through their proxy strike, we will see maybe cyber attacks, we will see sabotage, we will see attacks even on US soil or European soil. So look out for those things, and just understand that people who come and say like, oh, see, we have to just de-escalate, that's in the interest of the Islamic regime, because they're crumbling, because they're being under attack, because instead of lynching people inside of Iran and assassinating people outside, they're now the one crumbling. So they have to create this chaos, this global chaos, to say, no, you have to come in and stop Israel and stop everybody, because this is escalating. Because their goal, again, their goal is not a single strike. Their goal is not a single war. Jihadists always play the long game. And for the long game, they have to overcome the next 4 years, which is, let's say, a hostile government in America towards them, and just like get through this dry period until they can, through manipulation and their Qatari lobby and their own lobby and everything, get somebody into office again who will be more on the Obama, Biden, Clinton thing of appeasement and doing handshakes and contracts and negotiations and deals with the terrorists, because that's what they want. In the end, all they're seeking is money, and money comes through contracts, money comes through lifting sanctions, okay? So that's their long game. Create chaos and then give them the solution of, oh, okay, we can do a deal, but only on our terms, and going back and forth. But the end game is lift those fucking sanctions. We need money to build our empire or our caliphate. Now, while that is happening, the biggest threat isn't even to the outside. Because the biggest threat to the livelihood and the existence of the Islamic regime is the Iranian people. They have shown they use every opportunity to rise up against the regime and reclaim their country. So anytime something happens that strikes against the regime, they will lash out first and foremost against the Iranian people. And they're already doing that. So what we've seen in their playbook, they will start shutting down the internet. They will prevent people from going to the streets because, oh, it's war or emergency or something, and you have to stay back. The people of Iran have no shelter. They don't have bomb shelters. They don't have any safe zones away from the Islamic regime. So there's no part of Iran that is safe, because the regime is everywhere, and they do sabotage. They do explosions. They do other things that harm the civilians, and then try to blame it on outside forces to say, see, if you don't have us, nobody's going to protect you, and you have to be on our side. So this is all part of the propaganda. And the people of Iran are very aware of that. Some still fall for it, of course, like we have dumb people all over the world, right? Nobody's immune from that. But it's mostly the media that we have to look out for. We have seen the Islamic regime shoot down a passenger plane, an airplane, Ukrainian airplane, with Canadians on board, British citizens, Ukrainians, of course, Iranians. They killed these civilians, shot them down, pretended that this doesn't happen. Didn't happen. It wasn't. I don't know who was that, not us. That's what they do. And that's just one example of the sabotage that goes on a daily basis inside of Iran. Killing people, blowing them up, causing them harm, and saying it was somebody else. We've seen it from the times of Cinema Rex till now, over and over and over. Especially going after children, saying, oh, those were outside forces poisoning the schoolgirls. No, it was you. It was you who has the control over the country, and you poisoned little schoolgirls. Everybody knows that. So we have to be looking out and protecting the most vulnerable population that the Islamic regime is afraid of, which is the Iranian people. Another point that will take your emotions away, especially those who are not fans of Iranians or who are not fans of Israelis or Jews or something, right? You don't have to love our nations or peoples or anything, right? You can hate them, but just factual analysis, like whose interest is it to kill Iranian civilians, right? Israel, from their prime minister to their activists to their people, have made it very clear in their speeches, our war is with the Islamic regime. It's not with the Iranian people. They call the Iranian people brave people. They call them allies, historic allies. They remember the times of Cyrus the Great and all of our kings that were in close bond. The Jews and Iranians were always closely bonded and always had the same enemies that we're still fighting together. First of all, they've signaled every single time, our fight is not with you, it's with the Islamic regime. And some people may say, yeah, but they've killed civilians. And in any war, civilians are killed, especially in territories where the terrorists mix in and hide behind civilian populations. So that's a different discussion, and I don't even want to go into there because I don't want the stupid haters to come on here. But what you have to understand, who has interest in killing Iranians? Iranians hate the Islamic regime. Israel hates the Islamic regime. So it's not in their interest that a single civilian is killed, right? The Iranian people and Israelis are on the same side. But when it comes to enemies, they both want the Islamic regime to be gone. But whose interest is it to kill Iranians and blame it on somebody else? The jihadists, because they don't want to be distinguished or apart from the civilization that they're occupying. They want to be, oh, we're all one and they're attacking all of us, especially you, it's on you, it's a strike on you. So just from the point of whose interest it is to make it look like civilians are killed, it is always in the interest of the occupying jihadists to make it look that way. But once you understand interest and detach yourself from any other emotions, that becomes clear. And you might hear individuals saying otherwise. It's always like that. No civilization is homogeneous. We have a big base. The big Iranian base is very clear, very patriotic. They know their history, they know their alliances, they know who their enemies are. But there's always factions who are different. We have Iranians that hate Iran. We have Iranians that hate Israelis, just like we have Israelis that hate Iranians. We have Jews that hate Israel. We have Jews that hate Jews. Don't let those like single voices dilute the whole message. The whole message is very clear. A regime that since its birthing, since its coup in 1979, has constantly killed Iranians, killed Jews, killed Europeans, killed dissidents, killed everybody in the region. They are the enemies of all of them, right? So it's not in our interest to kill each other. It's in our interest to take them out. And they want to prevent that, because once we figure that out, once all of the indigenous people of the Middle East stand together as allies, instead of making every single problem a separate issue. The Iranians' issue with the Islamic regime, the Afghans' issue with the Taliban, the Lebanese people's issue with Hezbollah, the Israelis' issue with Hamas, the whatever, Yemenis' issue with the Houthis. Once we understand that the real issue, the real enemy is one force, jihadists. They split into two, right? We have Shia jihadists and we have Sunni jihadists. But when it comes to taking us out, the indigenous people out, they work together hand in hand. That's why Qatar works with the Islamic regime. Qatar supports usually the Muslim Brotherhood, which is Sunni jihadists. Islamic regime is Shia jihadists, but they work close together. We saw it in the Biden deal, right? The hostage deal. The money for the Islamic regime, the $6 billion, wasn't sent to Iranian banks, it was sent to Qatari banks. Why? Because they're close. They're like, okay, our ally, great, give it to them. We get access, we get interest, we get power, we get legitimacy. And what did they do with that? 2 weeks later, October 7th, the Iranian Revolution was crushed. Mass executions started. Right now, there's an execution wave that we've never seen before. Every 4 hours, an Iranian is hanged to death. You don't see that in the media. So this kind of money, these kinds of deals, empower these jihadists, all of them. And the aftermath is more terror, more massacres, more genocides, more assassinations, more propaganda, more media channels being taken up by them, more politicians all of a sudden speaking funny and speaking in favor of, making more deals with them. Like, where is that coming from? It has a domino effect. And the winners are always more jihadists, not the people, not any nations, not freedom, not democracy, not peace, nothing, just jihadist war. Now we have another fraction of people, and I love these people, don't get me wrong, who say, Iranians, we're behind you, now is your time to rise. Or they're already celebrating, like next year in Tehran, we're gonna all be partying, dancing and stuff. And to those people, again, I love them because they support the Iranian people, genuinely support them. A word of caution, or 2 words of caution. 1, never underestimate your enemy. And 2, the Iranian peoples have risen over and over again. That's something a lot of people miss. A lot of people are like, now is the right time for Iranians to rise. I have news for you. The Iranians don't need a right time. Even in the worst time, Iranians are rising. They're protesting, they're boycotting, they're going up, they're forming groups. They're doing everything in their power because they want to reclaim their freaking country out of the hands of the jihadists. That's just natural in them. And they have the desire to liberate their country from occupation. That's their right, and that's what they've done. They've proven it over the last half a century. They're brilliant people. They find different ways of resisting and crushing the Islamic regime, be it strikes that crushes the economy, be it school protests, be it like anything. They have shown that they're not afraid to give whatever it takes. They have shown that they're able, without any outside help, to hold down the streets nationwide for 12 full months, from September 2022 till September 2023. They held down the streets. The protests continued, even though the Iranians were shot in the eyes. We have so many girls and boys shot in the eyes, shot in their arms, tortured, raped, thrown into prison. And now they're being executed, as I said, every 4 hours. Boom, 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 killed, killed, killed. The families intimidated. But they've shown they can do that without any protection from the outside. Just them going forward and saying, we can hold this down. They've done it in 2009. They've done it in 2023. They've done it so many times in between that I'm not even going to mention all of the uprisings. And they're doing it now, by the way. So they don't need encouragement to rise. What they need is for the West to prove that they will not betray them again. Because every single time the Iranians were stepping on the throat of these Islamist occupiers and were about to take them out, there was some Western leader coming in with sanctions relief, legitimization, oh, now you're gonna be leading the UN's whatnot, Human Rights Council, deals. Again, Biden deal right on the anniversary of the 12 month of holding down the streets. Biden gave the Islamic regime $6 billion. $6 billion. That means bye-bye people, hello regime. We acknowledge you, we're with you. Obama did the same thing, 2009. The people were screaming, Obama, Obama. Yaba una, yaba ma. You're either with them, the Islamic regime, or with us. And Obama decided he's with them. And now again, as this is happening, people are saying, people in Iran rise. What are the Western leaders signaling? Oh, negotiations are still on the table. Oh, we should de-escalate. Oh, we should like blah, 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 nuclear talks, blah, 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 blah. What? You understand, nuclear negotiations is not going to stop the problem. It's never going to end the Islamic regime. To the contrary, they want these nuclear negotiations, and look what they're asking for every single time. Sanctions relief, unfreeze our assets, deals, economic this and that. They want Western companies to start investing in them because 80% of the economy is in the hands of the IRGC. They're making money. They can't make money if you crush their system and sanction them and delegitimize them and don't do contracts with them. So the Iranian people have said it. They wrote graffiti on the wall. Every activist is saying, hey, they're gonna rise again, but only if you promise not to betray them and give CPR and life support to their oppressors. Who would do that? Who would risk their eyes, their livelihood, their family, their children, and then be betrayed again and again and again and again? So we don't need people to tell the Iranian people, rise. They will do that. They're already doing that. In case you missed it, because it's nowhere in the news, there is a nationwide trucker strike. That means 400,000 trucks have been on strike for almost 2 weeks. That's almost the entire fleet of the heavyweight trucks in the country. What are they saying? What they're actually saying is, you want to make deals with our oppressors? Go ahead. Look at who has the power in the country. It's us. It's the workers, it's the truckers, it's the people at the ports, it's the shipping companies, it's all of us, it's the Iranian people. You want to do a deal and send your merchandise over? It's going to be rotting here on the port because we will be on strike and not helping you get more money on our backs, on our blood. So it's a strong message from inside the country. We're ready. We're mobilized. We're talking to all corners of the country. It's on you to prove that you're standing with us. So to every world leader out there, now is your time. Now is your time to switch sides and no longer stand with the oppressors and tyrants, but with the people. And American leaders and Western leaders have done it all the time when they wanted a regime to go, when they wanted to crush it and not revive it. They've done exactly that. Reagan has done it with the Soviet dissidents, acknowledging them, directly speaking to them, giving them support, providing them with sources where they could have information being spread, the truth being spread. And what did that cause? Soviet Union collapsed. Same thing with the Nazis. The first time around, no, everybody wanted to still make business with the Nazis. The second time around, what did we do? We supported dissidents like de Gaulle. When France was occupied by the Nazis, the world stood with de Gaulle, with the dissidents to reclaim their country, backing them. Again, all of the support, talking to them, saying, no, this is Nazi occupation. They don't belong there. We're not talking to you. We're not making contracts with you. We don't want you here. We're supporting these people. And that's where it starts. And that's where the graffitis and the messages inside from the country are coming out and saying, whose side are you going to be on? Ours? Prove it. Just symbolically. I mean, the Prime Minister of Israel has done it before. We're standing with Iranian people. Our Secretary of State has done it before. Marco Rubio said, we're not at war with Iranian people. They're a brave culture. They're a beautiful culture, beautiful history, great nation, this and this and that. We have a problem with the Islamic regime. This message needs to come from all of our leadership. And it cannot be diluted with the same message of, but maybe you want a negotiation. Maybe we come back to the table. Maybe now it can't. You have to make it clear. We will not negotiate with you. That is off the table. We're standing with Iranian people. They have a right, and this is important, not just to protest and strikes and peaceful this and that. They have a right to rise and reclaim their country. That is the message that needs to be out there. The next message is, you have to take away this shadow ban on all of the dissidents outside of the country, the exiled Iranians. I don't see them in the media anymore. I don't see them with politicians anymore. Few here and there, if the message is like, oh la la, like a yuptida human rightsy message, they can slip that information in. That's okay, we bring them. But not the ones that are saying, we're toppling the regime. Are you going to help us here? We want accountability. Like my dad's campaign, Justice for Jimmy, is about accountability. You know, taking these people that kidnapped and murdered and lynched and mutilated a German-American dissident, taking them to court. I don't see that in Germany, where we have a duty to investigate. I don't see that in America, where we have a duty to investigate. No, we're still blocked. And that is the message that you're giving us. When I cannot talk to my administration even about something as humanitarian as getting the mutilated corpse of my slain father to Los Angeles so we can lay him to rest, that means somebody, some advisors, some force, some money is telling our administrations, do not speak with these people. They're kryptonite. They're going to ruin our deals. And that is the message that you're sending. And that is the reason why Iranians would not risk their lives to be stabbed in the back over and over again. So to the people out there who are standing with the Iranian people, who are standing with the Women Life Freedom Revolution, with every freedom fighter, with every protester, with every woman, with every child, with every man, with everybody who is fighting tooth and nail against the Islamic regime, that's what our message should be to our leadership. Stand with us. Invite us, talk to us, not the Islamic regime. Help us form a coalition in exile. We have right now announced over and over again, the Crown Prince of Iran said, I'm taking leadership, okay? We can form a coalition. Where is the support? You can support that. No, instead you're pushing away the entire diaspora, making sure they fight internally, enjoying it, right? Like you don't fight, like Democrats don't fight Republicans, left doesn't fight right. Oh, it's only the Iranians, we can't trust them. No, you're doing that on purpose to not give us a chance to reclaim our country. So unless you change that now, and now is the best time for you to change that, not the Iranian people, not our dissidents, not the Iranian exile community. We have done everything that we could, and we're going to continue. Whether you're on our side or not, we're going to continue doing that. But it's on you right now to send the right messages and stop supporting the Islamic regime and all of these terrorists out there. Cut your ties with the tyrants and start forming ties with us. And once we see that, we're on the right track of history, not before that.